What is going on, guys? This post here, and we're here with our very first Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle. This is versus Doom Omega, regular on the channel at this point, but he produces great content as well. I was streaming and he decided to stop by. He's like, "Do you wanna catch these hands?" I'm like, "Boy, you really out here trying to you're out here trying to mess with me like that." So this is gonna be how our Sun and Moon adventure starts. Like I said, Doom's a great guy. Be sure to check him out if you're unfamiliar with him. Although you should probably be familiar with him if you're familiar with me. But anyways, looking at the teams, we both don't really have any like OP stuff. None of us are using any Ultra Beast. He's only using one Tapu, and I'm kind of using basically the best one I have because I haven't beat the game yet. But I played through the game. It was fun. Or what I have. I still have to catch Lunala, go to the Ultra Beast World, and do all that, but all I have to do, yeah, that's all I have to do for the game. But I really wanted to do some Wi-Fi, so this is kind of like the best that we could work with right now as far as assembling a semi-competent team. And like I said, he's got an interesting team using Araquanid. I think that's how you pronounce it. Haven't seen too much of that in Sun and Moon. I know Chimpact had his Soak Toxic Infestation set. But that's the only thing that I've seen of Arachnid, and then Paleosand, and I haven't seen that thing at all. I had no idea what to expect from that. I had no idea really what to expect from Starmie this gen, because Starmie is usually either offensive or bulky, depending on what the gen is. So I wanted to see how Doom would run Starmie, and then everything else we've kind of already seen at this point. You know, Garchomp is Garchomp, it's always going to do his thing. I wasn't sure where his rocks were going to come from. I figured it'd be like Chomp. Of course, that Paleosand thing could get rocks. I'm not too familiar with it. My team is hyper offensive. Well, it does have the Skarmory and it does have the Kamala, but it's basically like 9 out of 10 times I'm going to lead Lycanroc, and I have Moon, so that's the only reason why I have Lycanroc Midnight over Lycanroc Midday form. Because in that Suicide lead role, I think the Midday form is better than the Midnight form of Lycanroc. And then try and stack some hazards with Skarmory. The Kamala is supposed to be a type Null with Eviolate. It's actually a pretty neat little set. Kind of functions like Porygon 2, but type Null has access to U-turn, so you can use it as more like a pivot than Porygon 2, which is like a traditional tank. But like I said, I haven't gotten through the game yet, so I haven't been able to get a type Null on my cart. So Kamala is kind of like the next closest thing to fill that slot, but it is not. It's not good. I do not recommend using Kamala in a competitive OU, and then Magnezone kind of traps things, and then it's either sweep with Scarf Salazzle or sweep with Mimikyu. That's, you know, what the team's game plan is. So let's just go ahead and get it in and see how this game turns out. So yeah, let's just get it started. You know, ooh, mouse, you guys weren't supposed to see that. Okay, anyways, like I said, we're challenged by Pokemon Training Doom. My man out here rocking the Guido sunglasses. So alright, like I said, Lycanroc Midnight is usually going to be my lead on this team. He does have Starmie though, but I do have the Ghost type and Mimikyu to block Rapid Spin. He's going to lead with Tapu Koko. This will be a good opportunity for me to see what type of Tapu Koko he's running. If he's running like a mix set, if he's running a purely special set, if he's running Life Orb. Usually you don't see Scarf Tapu Koko, but you can see Specs Tapu Koko, and with no Life Orb recoil, that leads me to believe that's what that is. I'm going to set up my Stealth Rock right here. Like I mentioned, Starmie is going to come in. I actually expected him not to switch directly to Starmie. I expected him to switch to Garchomp, which is why I went directly for the rocks, because I could have easily gone for the Stone Edge right there and clocked that Starmie. But he does decide to go directly out to it, but I do have Mimikyu, so I can block the Rapid Spin, and I can fire off a Shadow Sneak just to get some damage off. My Mimikyu actually has Red Card. The point of the Red Card is you have your Mimikyu's Disguise, and then you bust the Disguise, or they bust the Disguise, and then they get forced out with Red Card. So if they have like a setup sweeper, they can't sweep you because you can just bust it with the Disguise. But unfortunately, I'm forced to bust it right now because I feel like I really need entry hazards in this game to win, whether it's the rocks and the spikes. Plus, I think that Starmie's is only Rapid Spinner because I don't believe Scizor gets Defog in pre-Pokebank OU. Plus, I'm not too worried about what the Scizor wants to do because I have Magnezone, so I'm not worried about that sweeping me. So I'm okay with burning the red card. It's just unfortunate that I have to earn my Disguise as well. I'm gonna go to Skarmory. He switched from Garchomp to Scizor. I'm not too sure why he did that. Because I am special defensive, so that Fire Blast, if he wanted to go for that, wouldn't have done too much. I do actually run a lot of speed on this thing because I'm no attack Skarmory. I have Taunt with no attacking moves and a lot of speed to outspeed Tapu Fini to taunt it so it can't get the defog off. Because like I said, this team really needs the entry hazards to stay down so that my Mimikyu or my Salazzle can sweep so that the opponent's team takes as much passive damage as possible. So right here, I make kind of a stupid play. He's obviously going to stay in, and he's obviously going to go for the U-turn. I go for the spikes right there on that. I should have gone for the Roar. There was really... I didn't lose anything. Oh, and I have Roar because I haven't had the opportunity to breed Whirlwind on the Skarmory. So Roar's kind of the next best thing. It's really not that much worse unless you're facing some team that has like a soundproof mod. Like the main reason why they run Roar is versus like Mr. Mime Cheese. So right here, I'm going to switch directly to my Lycanroc. If he wants to go for the Scald, then he can do that. But what my Lycanroc can do is, I can actually live a Rapid Spin from Starmie. So I'm going to try to play some mind games with him, go for the Sucker Punch. And if this thing was a Dark type like it honestly should be, then that would have killed. But for some reason, they made the Midnight form not a Dark type. Like, this thing is so bad, dude. Compared to the Day form, especially. So now I'm going to predict him to recover because I played Doom a bunch. I kind of know how he plays. He's going to go for the recovery right here. And I'm going to get my rocks back up. And then after this, we're going to pull the switch back to Mimikyu, predicting either the Rapid Spin or for him to go for Scald. Mimikyu does have pretty decent special defense, so I actually can take a Scald pretty decently if he wants to do that. He does actually opt to do neither of those things and go for the recover, but I'm okay with that because the entry hazards stay on my side of the field. Or the entry hazards don't get spun from his side of the field. He's going to surprise me right here though, and he's going to go for the Psychic Z move with his Starmie. I was wondering what item he had because he had Scald, but he didn't show me any leftovers, nor did he show me any Life Orb. I figured that since we don't really have access to... Like, it's early on, so we haven't had time to grind out the items, that he was using, like, Expert Belt or something. Or maybe, like, Mystic Water. But he turns out to have the Z move, Psychic move. And I love these Z moves, bro. Some of the stat boosting ones I don't really like, but the offensive ones remind me of the gems from Black White. And that's something that not very many people talk about when they're talking about, like, Black White and how fun that tier can be. Is the gems. It makes the tier really interesting at times. Of course, at other times the tier can be really bad. But I'm able to go for the Shadow Claw. I live on 5 HP. Like I said, Mimikyu does have that decent special defense. Not the best, but it's pretty decent. I'm able to live on 5 HP, and Starmie's going to go down, which means that my entry hazards are here to stay. Unfortunately, he does get the quick trade back, and it makes it 5-5, but that's okay because Lycanroc's primary rule is to set up the rocks for me. And we managed to get the rocks up there permanently with the Starmie going down. And now my Skarmory can start stacking spikes the next time it gets the opportunity to come in. I'm going to go to my Komala. I do have Earthquake, so I can fire off an Earthquake, try and deal some decent damage to that Tapu Koko, wear it down for later in the game. And pretty much anything he wants to switch to, I could just go for the U-turn versus, and then get the momentum back with my Komala. So yeah, I'm just going to go right for the Earthquake, and then I'm going to follow it up with the U-turn. Paleo Sand is very slow. I believe it's base 35 speed. So even though my Komala is actually Sassy Nature, the reason why it's Sassy Nature is so that I can get the slow U-turn off versus something like Celesteal, and then trap it with my Magnezone. Of course, a lot of Celesteals are minus speed anyways, which is another benefit of Type Null for that team, because Type Null with Sassy Nature will outspeed all variants of Celesteal. But like I said, you gotta work with what you got on cartridge, so we just go for the U-turn. He is faster, and he shows me Giga Drain. I don't know what this thing gets, so I'm learning. Apparently it gets Giga Drain. This is cool. That's not doing too much to me, so I can just get my first layer of spikes down and apply some spikes pressure to his team. He's gonna go for the Shadow Ball. Does a decent little chunklet to me. Not the most amount, but a decent little chunklet to where that's gonna sting. I believe I'm just gonna go for the Roost right here, expecting him to stay in and go for another Shadow Ball. In case he wants to stay in and get some Spadef drops. But he's going to take the opportunity to go to Tapu Koko, and again, you're starting to see the entry hazards here are really starting to pile up. That's just one switch in, and Tapu Koko took all that damage. And like I said, I'm going to fire off the roost right here. Obviously, I have to switch out. But this is a pretty tough position because even though Magnezone can't switch in, he can click Volt Switch, get the momentum back, and then go out to his Garchomp. And Garchomp, at this point in the game, is probably my biggest threat that I'm facing right now. So I'm going to go to Kamala. It pretty much ends up the same way, but my Magnezone won't take damage for later in the game. That's what I wanted to avoid. Plus, Kamala is pretty useless, so if it takes a couple hits for me, then that's more than I could have wanted from Kamala. He's going to actually go to Sizzle right here, which got me worried. Well, maybe this thing actually does get defog, and I didn't know about it, and my entire game plan is going to get messed up. Because I'm going to lose my rocks, obviously, and then spikes will be a lot more difficult for me to set up. He is going to go for the U-turn right here, and I make a bit of a misplay. I'm going to actually take that hit. Well, I expected to take that hit a lot better. I expected it to only do like 30%, but it does a lot. I'm not investing in any defense at all, so I probably should have expected that because Kamala is garbage. And because of that, I decided to go for the Wish, but I should have gone for the U-turn right there. I know Garchomp would have had the rough skin on me and hit me really hard with that. But, yeah, I don't know. Just the Switch doesn't really do me any good. And now I'm pretty much obligated to go to Skarmory just to make some use of the Wish. He actually goes straight for the Earthquake. And the way he's been playing this Garchomp, he hasn't set up rocks with it yet, which if he was Tank Chomp trying to set up rocks, does Garchomp even get rocks on pre-Pokebank OU? Maybe I was worried about nothing. But he's going for the Earthquake right there. Just kind of the way he's played it, it makes me kind of think that he's Scarf. I'm going to have to keep that in the back of my head later in the game, if that is Scarf Chomp, like my gut's telling me. I'm going to go for the second layer of spikes right there. He's going to go for Shore Up. I've never seen this move in my life. But apparently it's like Recover. So I predicted like Garchomp or Scizor or whatever to come in. Or actually Tapu Koko. And then I'm going to go for the Roar. Unfortunately for me, Tapu Koko is going to be what comes in. And I had that opportunity. I could have gotten my third layer of spikes down. And the third layer of spikes does significantly more than the second layer. The second layer only adds about 5%. From the 12% to the 17%, but the third layer takes you all the way up to 25% damage. And so that third layer spikes can be very significant. And I'm actually not going to be able to get that third layer down at all this game. And because of my unlucky Roar, I'm not going to be able to get it down at all because I'm going to be forced out by the Tapu Koko. I'm going to sack Kamala off right here. Like I said, Kamala didn't really do too much for me. But I could go to Magnezone right here and pretty much click Flash Cannon for free. Even if Scizor wants to come in, Scizor is going to get heavily punished by the entry hazards. But he has Arachnid, and I completely forgot this thing existed, but here it is. So Arachnid is going to come in, and this thing has very high special defense. So it's actually going to take this Flash Cannon very well. But Flash Cannon was still the better play right there, because if he wanted to go to Garchomp, then really wouldn't have been in the best of positions, because as you're going to find out, that Fire Blast from Garchomp does quite a bit. I'm going to switch out right here from my Magnezone to my Skarmory. He's going to show me that he has Scald, which is pretty interesting. I thought this thing had like 50 special attack, but I guess with the Water Bubble ability, maybe that Scald becomes worthwhile. Like I said, I think this one has a lot of potential, but it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. This one, it's interesting. That's all I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna go. Here, he's gonna go for the Scald rather. I believe I just go for the Roar. I either go for the Roost or the Roar. I don't remember. I do go for the Roar. This is actually gonna be really bad. I should have gone for the Roost. But what I wanted to avoid was, like I said, the only other time I've seen Arachnid was Chimpac's Soak Toxic Infestation set. So I went for the Roar right there, so he couldn't Infestation me. He couldn't Soak me. And get that little train started. But he goes for the Scald right there. Gets the Burn, unfortunately. Burn has been nerfed a little bit, and it's not the biggest deal in the world because of the fact that, like I said earlier, I'm no attacking Skarm. But the problem is now is that I'm going to stay in, and like I said, I'm not the most special defensive, but I do have some special defensive Eevee, so I'm expecting to be able to take a Fire Blast from Scarf Chomp, but I actually don't. And now that's a problem because Skarmory walls so much of his team. Like, I'm down 5-3 right now, but Skarmory could potentially wall Garchomp, obviously, if he's not locked into Fire Blast. Scizor, this Arachnid thing, especially with the hazard pressure. I can't wall Tapu Koko, obviously, but Skarmory was, especially if I got that third layer spike down too, Skarmory put in so much work for me, and now being able to lose it kind of in a stupid way. I go to Magnezone right there because if he's not Scarf Chomp, I just lose the game. So I go to Magnezone hoping that he's Scarf Chomp, and Magnezone can't take the Fire Blast, so I just go for the Flash Cannon. He is going to switch out of there, and that pretty much confirms my hunch that he is Scarf Chomp. We're still in a tough position, however. I'm down 4-2. He's going to come in on the entry hazards. I'm going to sack Mimikyu just because I feel like Magnezone and Salazzle, the mon who I haven't sent out yet, is going to be more useful at this point in the game. Now my Salazzle is Modest Choice Scarf. Modest Choice Scarf Salazzle speed ties with a plus speed nature Choice Scarf Garchomp, whether he's naive or jolly. Probably naive since he had the Fire Blast. Overheat is also a damage roll on here. If I get a low damage roll, Garchomp can actually live from that range. So it comes down to a speed tie and the damage roll. Fortunately, I get both of those correct, and the Garchomp is going to be able to go down. And now my guy right here, my Salazzle, is looking in a pretty good position to come through because he has a Tapu Koko left and he has a Scizor. And especially with entry hazard, Salazzle's going to be able to pick both of those off. However, Paleo Sand is not in range, especially now that I'm at -2. I have to hope that this thing doesn't have Earthquake because I don't know what moves this thing has. I'm not familiar with this mod at all, with its stats or anything. He's gonna go for the Shore Up right there, trying to get to the highest HP he can. I'm gonna switch to my Magnezone, just trying to sack it off so that I can lock into a new move with my Salazzle. And that Flash Cannon does a lot, so he's obviously not a very special defensive mon. This thing actually does have Earth Power, so it would have been interesting if he went directly for the Earth Power right there as I switched into my Magnezone instead of the Shore Up. But that's going to work out for me, and then I could go for the Flash Cannon right there. And now it's Salazzle time. So my Salazzle's going to come in, I'm going to go for the Flamethrower, let's see if it takes it out. It is able to take it out. And with me being Modest Choice Scarf, it all comes down to if the Tapu Koko is choice. He's going to send out a Scizor first. When he sent this out in the game, I was feeling pretty good because if he didn't send out the Tapu Koko, then that means it's probably not Scarf Tapu Koko. He's going to go for the Bullet Punch, try to do as much as possible. And Salazzle has pretty poor bulk, but I do resist. That still does a lot for resisting. But I'm going to be able to take it. And then the Flamethrower is going to come down. And it's here. It's 1-1. The game is getting pretty close. Let's see if I can outspeed the Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko's at pretty low health. It's gonna come in on entry hazards, do a lot of damage to it. Actually, if I got the 3 layer spikes, I would have died. Wow. But yeah, Tapu Koko's in here. Let's see if it's Choice Scarf or not. That's what it comes down to. And I do outspeed, so that Tapu Koko was not Choice Scarf. And that looks like it's going to be the game. So I was down in the trenches for a lot of the game, but I was able to come back and win that game 1-0 versus my man Doom. So GG's definitely. That was if I couldn't have asked for a better start to Sun and Moon than that game, because that game was very close. That was very intense. Yeah, GG's to Doom. He's a very good battler himself, so be sure to check out his links in the description below. His Twitter, his Twitch. I don't know if he has a YouTube or not. I don't know. I'll ask him. But yeah, like I said, GG's to Doom. If you like my type of content, be sure to subscribe. If you like the video, be sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you didn't like the video, you can leave a thumbs down. I won't be too sad, but at least tell me why so that I can try and improve for the next time. And stay tuned for more Sun and Moon hype, guys, as well as some of the other content that I'm going to post. And yeah, I suppose post, and have a good day, guys, and later.